It's a pleasure to be here in New Orleans with Netroots. And it's a pleasure to see all of you. I am Cynthia Nixon, and I am running for governor of New York State. Actually, let me be more specific. I am running in the Democratic primary for governor of New York State. And I will tell you a secret. The Democratic establishment doesn't like primaries. They think challenging incumbents hurts the party. I disagree. I think it helps the party. I think that centrist corporate Democrats hurt the party. And I think they need to be held accountable. And I think the primary is the most effective way to do that. We are witnessing an incredible moment for the progressive movement right now. People are rejecting the status quo and establishment Democrats and a party leadership that is so often whiter and wealthier and more male than the party base. And that is why thousands of progressives all over America are running for office this year. Many of us are women, many of us for the first time. Because we have realized if we want things to change, finally, we are going to have to step up and do it ourselves. And this movement that we are building around the country isn't just about the next election. It's about offering a vision of the way things could work if only we had the leadership and the political courage to make that vision a reality. Because it can't just be business as usual anymore. We have to turn the system upside down. We have to uproot the broken establishment, and we have to usher in a new generation of leadership. We have to transform the Democratic Party into a vehicle not just for corporations, not just for Wall Street, but a vehicle for all working people in this country. And I'm tired of a Democratic establishment that meddles in primaries, that puts their thumb on the scale, that picks candidates based on nothing more than their ability to fundraise from big donors. I am tired of a Democratic establishment that warns candidates not to run on single-payer health care, that tells us we have to stop talking about abolishing ICE because it doesn't poll well. This is the same Democratic establishment that once upon a time told us not to talk about civil rights, or same-sex marriage, or abortion, or a $15 minimum wage. This is the same Democratic establishment that says we can't win with candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she's too far to the left. I have to say to them, please, please. Maybe you have forgotten, but I haven't forgotten, and the people in this room haven't forgotten what happened in 2016. A lack of moderation was not the problem. We tried it their way, and we lost to a racist extremist. If Democrats are going to win this year, it is not enough to just be better than Donald Trump. We can't just give people something to vote against. We have to give them something that they want to show up and vote for. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm running for governor on a platform of passing single-payer health care. of ending the school-to-prison pipeline, of providing free college tuition to New Yorkers who can't afford it. I am running to end voter suppression in New York State and to pass universal rent control and to protect immigrants from deportation and to support the movement to abolish ICE once and for all. I'm running to end our addiction to fossil fuels and to usher in a Green New Deal, to protect reproductive rights and expand them, to end mass incarceration, starting with legalizing marijuana and abolishing cash bail. I am proud to be one of a small but growing number of candidates to identify as a democratic socialist. I hadn't called myself a democratic socialist before, but I realize that my values and what I'm fighting for are directly aligned with that movement. So, if being a democratic socialist means believing that health care and housing and education should be a human right, then I am a democratic socialist. If it means standing up against inequality in all its forms and taking action to equalize wealth and power in our society, then I am a democratic socialist. The establishment is terrified of that word, socialism. But if we learned one thing from the Obama years, it's that Republicans are going to call us socialists no matter what we do. So we might as well give them the real thing. When I got in this race, pundits said that Governor Cuomo was too powerful, that he had too much money, that Albany was never going to change. But 4 months into this race, just look at what we have already won. For 7.5 years, Cuomo said he had no power to disband the IDC, the rogue Democrats who vote with the New York State Senate Republicans to block progressive legislation. Then 2 weeks into our campaign, he disbanded them. Why? Because our movement stood up and fought back and won. On criminal justice reform, just last year, Governor Cuomo opposed marijuana legalization. He labeled it a gateway drug. And now, after our campaign called it out as a racial justice issue and championed full legalization, lo and behold, his Department of Health did too. Why? Because our movement stood up and fought back and won. On education, for years, Cuomo declared war on New York's public school teachers and supported tying teacher evaluations to scores on student exams. 1 month into our campaign, Cuomo reversed himself and decided to support ending teacher evaluations based on test scores because our movement stood up and fought back and won. On climate, Cuomo oversaw the development of a fracked gas pipeline that would devastate a community's water and health. But the same day we released our climate justice platform, he halted the construction of that pipeline. He has reversed his position on the plastic bag tax and suddenly backed off plans to store gas in caverns by Seneca Lake because our movement stood up and fought back and won. That is the power of primaries. And that is what happens when we hold our party and its electeds accountable. These are real victories, and none of them would have been possible without the support of grassroots groups like the Working Families Party, which I have stood with and fought with for better schools for the last 17 years. But even so, these real victories only go so far, which is why we need a change, which is why I'm running. Because at the end of the day, we have a governor who just doesn't believe in progressive values and flat out doesn't support fellow Democrats. If you haven't been following New York State politics closely, that might sound like an exaggeration. It's not. Apart from encouraging a breakaway group of Democratic state senators to vote with the Republicans, giving Republicans control despite being a minority in that body, apart from allowing the Republican state senators to gerrymander their own districts, Andrew Cuomo is also running on the Independence Party ballot line. That is a line he is sharing with mostly Republican candidates, including our top 4 congressional targets in the state. By headlining the ballot line, he will single-handedly be delivering tens of thousands of votes to vulnerable Republican incumbents. Because Andrew Cuomo wants every possible vote for himself, and he doesn't care if it helps Republicans keep control of the Congress. That is why we, in this progressive movement, have to get involved in primaries. Primaries are where we get to stand up to these establishment corporate Democrats and decide what kind of Democratic Party we actually want. This is not a time to settle for the way things are. This is a time to fight. This year, progressives want power, not concessions. And if we want real change, we don't just need to elect more Democrats. We need to elect better Democrats. So between now and September 13th, the date of the New York Democratic primary, I am calling on you, I am calling on all of you to join this movement and do everything you can to bring real, progressive change back to New York State. Thank you so, so much. Thank you.